Hey, this is Perry Green. We're starting our second episode for PGA Hope podcast. I am the lead instructor at Westcott, but more importantly, I'm captain of the national champion Secretaries Cup team that unfortunately or fortunately is going to be the championship team for longer than we expected because of this coronavirus until they can get together and have another team unseat us. But anyway, glad to be here. I want to give you just a couple of tips that you can do indoors to help your putting. I don't want to talk to you about full swing because I don't want any of your lamps to break or windows to break. So when we're going to do putting indoors, your best friend is a simple aluminum or steel yardstick. These things are awesome. Lowe's is my favorite golf training aid store. What I see most people make the mistake on is they always take that putter back too far on every length putt. Whether it's a 2-foot putt or a 20-foot putt, they're taking that putter back a foot, foot and a half. You know, you take this, I took this and I'll move it up a little close. You can see I put some marks on it so I can practice my putting stroke and go back 6 inches and forward 7. I'll go back a foot and forward 13 inches for a medium length stroke, but get used to putting with a shorter backstroke and a longer forward stroke. And the last thing I want to share with you about this putter over here is the hole that you're going to set. You're going to hang it on the pegboard. Well, we just set a golf ball in that hole, and I want you to just try and putt that ball off of the yardstick without it falling off either side. If you do that 10 times a day and make notes, how many did I miss on the left side? How many of them fell off on the right side? And do this for the next 2 weeks and see if your stats start to improve. And when you make 10 in a row off the end, go to 20. But keep stats on how many you miss to the left, how many fall off the edge on the right. You'll start to notice what your tendencies are. Because really, it's not the actual method of how you putt. It's the method you choose that you can repeat. And repeating it is all that counts. That's our putting tip for the day. Daisy, I think I'm going to you now.
Yes, thank you guys for joining us on our second episode. Thanks, Perry, for that putting tip there. We're just trying to give you some stuff that you guys can do at home to get your golf therapy while you may not be able to get to the golf course. So today I'm going to share with you some information about warming up before you play and ways in which you can keep healthy while you're at home, maybe isolated, to help build your immune system. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen, and I've got a presentation that I'd like to share with you guys. So you should see my screen now. Right, so put you guys up there. Okay. So golf warm up explained. So a lot of people don't understand the difference between a workout, a warm up, why you should warm up, whether it's okay just to go to the first tee, do what the guy is doing in this picture here on the right, stretch to the left, stretch to the right, will that do? Well, the answer to that question is no. You need to be ready on the first tee to perform your best, not only just to perform well, but to prevent injuries. So there was a cool study done by Ben Langdown, and TPI shared it. And if you're not aware of TPI, that's who I'm certified through. So it's a Titleist Performance Institute, and they look at how the body affects the golf swing. So for this particular study, what they looked at is the difference between different warm-ups and no warm-up on carry distance off the first tee. So as you can see, there's actually an added round it off to 6 yards just by performing a good dynamic warm-up, and that's just of carry, so that's not total distance. So if you're one of those players like myself when I was playing and it takes you a few holes to get warmed up, why not just perform a 5-minute warm-up before you tee off so that you're reaching your full potential on the first tee as well as the third tee, and so on and so forth. So why do we warm up? Well, there's the two reasons that, you know, everyone should be aware of, but most commonly aren't, is number one, to increase performance. That carry distance is important. But I think more importantly for all of you guys is to reduce the risk of injury. Now, let me explain a little bit how the body works. Well, when we warm up, what we're doing is we're just improving circulation or blood flow. Now, the reason why that's important is because you want the blood to deliver energy to the working muscles. Now, because of our sedentary lifestyles, we spend all day sitting down. Our body and our brain switches off those big muscles and stops blood flow to them as it needs to go to our vital organs. So what you do when you warm up, you're actually sending more blood flow to those vital muscles that are needed to perform a safe and efficient golf swing. The other thing that you're doing when you're warming up is you're actually improving the way your nervous system fires. And the nervous system is basically your safe mechanism. It's the way your brain protects you from injury. So I'm going to talk a little bit about dynamic stretching versus static stretching here in a bit. And it's really important to just understand that the key purpose of a warm-up is to switch on those muscles with regards to brain-body connection and to increase that blood flow. I don't care if you have a big old cigar in your mouth like Jimenez. I just want to see you warming up before you tee it off. It shows that you're being a safe player and you're protecting your body from potential injury. And you know, many of you out there have experienced injuries and know how long it can take to come back from an injury. And it's really important, just 5 minutes before you tee off, guys, especially as you get older, it's very, very important. So stretching exposed. Now, a lot of people think that static stretching is enough or sufficient before performance, specifically golf. Well, what the research shows is very interesting. Yes, static stretching, what I mean by that is stretching without motion. So, you know, things like a seated toe touch and just holding onto your toes for 30 to 60 seconds. They're normally held for 15 to 60 seconds. They do increase your range of motion, but what the researchers found is that they actually reduce power and increase your risk for injury. So that's not something that we want to be doing before we tee up. What we'd rather be doing is dynamic stretching, which is stretching while in motion. That's going to increase your range of motion, it's going to increase your power and reduce your risk for injury. So there's your answer if you were wondering, you know, is static stretching enough? The answer to that is no. So what I'm going to show you is a few exercises that I like to do before I play. So I'm going to now go to the home screen and pull up the first one. So you see this, guys?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
See it.
So the first one is standing with your golf club across your hips like so that my arms are just hanging comfortably beside me. And I'll play it again. And as you can see at the start, I have a rounded posture. This posture is what everyone commonly is in day to day because we sit down too much and we're staring at our screens. So we get forward head posture and a rounded back. Now, what this exercise is called power posture. And all you're going to do is press that golf club into your hips, extend your chest up into the sky, put your head upright and hold that for about 15 to 30 seconds. I like 30 seconds. By the end, you should feel like all your muscles in your back are switched on and ready to put you into a good posture position. Okay, next one. All right, this next one's an overhead deep squat. So I want you to place a driver or a club above your head as far as you can get it. It doesn't matter if it's not completely above your head. And try and squat as low as you can. If you struggle with that, you can simplify it and put the club across your chest. I just want you to perform 10 repetitions of a squat so that we get those big muscles in our legs switched on. The next one is toe touch with extension. So again, I'm holding that club, my feet are shoulder width apart. I touch my toes and then I extend my arms in the air, pushing my hips forwards and arching my back so that you can see here my hips in front of my toes and my shoulders are slightly behind my heels. So that's what we're looking for there. It's not just a toe touch, but this dynamic motion as we touch our toes and we reach to the sky like so. Okay. Bear with me here as I pull these up. Next one. This one's great for the rotation. And you're going to get into golf posture and like all these open books. And just like I'm doing here, you're opening that arm or opening that upper spine into rotation, into the backswing and the downswing. You can perform 10 each way for those as well. This next one is a lateral bend. Now, what people commonly forget, and that's why they get back injuries, is that there is a slight lateral bend in the golf swing. So I want you to warm up the spine in that direction too, again dynamically, by holding a club and allowing it to drop while keeping your hand touching your side, allowing it to drop so you feel like you're trying to touch the side of your knee. Now the reason why I showed you this viewpoint as well, the side view, wait till I turn back round, is it's really important that I don't want you to hunch backwards or forwards when you're doing this. You should stay in a straight line, so that is strictly lateral flexion, okay? See that? Like so. Again, you can do 10 of those each way. By the time you've done with this, guys, it'll only take you 5 minutes. Next one, we're going to warm up our back and our shoulders. Again, we're in golf posture. Arms out at 90 degrees. I like to call these swimmers. I want you to extend your arms above your head, straightening your elbows, trying to maintain your hands staying behind your head, and repeat those swimming motions 10 times. It's important for that one not to lose your posture. If you feel yourself dropping downwards or lifting upwards, try resetting that power posture, tilting down and trying again. Next one, I showed you guys this last week. The slight difference, we're coming out with our hands more in front of us, like the golf posture position. Small circles, medium circles, large circles, both directions. 10 each direction is sufficient. This one's a great one. The next two, or the last two, are for lower body activation. This one's called the Y balance. You can see I've got some tape on the floor there. And all I'm doing is trying to balance on one foot, using a club to support me. I'm tapping out in front, dropping into what looks like a curtsy, and then back and to the side. Switching sides once you've done about 3 in each direction. This is not only going to help with your mobility in your hips, but it's going to help activate all those little small muscles that are needed to help with your balance. Last one. Golf posture. This time we're going to be jumping side to side. These are called skaters. Just get some more explosiveness in there. If you can't do this, then standing in golf posture and lifting up your right foot, then your left foot, trying to maintain your balance on each side, is also a good way to do this. But if you can do this, this is a great way to switch on all those large muscles that are needed to help stabilize you in the golf swing. So coming back to my PowerPoint now. So we started with the power posture, overhead squat, toe touch to extension, open books, lateral bends, swimmers, shoulder circles, Y balance, and skaters. If you guys have any pain while performing those, please seek medical attention and do not perform them. That's very important. So some other information that I wanted to share with you guys is how to keep yourself healthy during these very scary times. And I know JT after me is going to have some great recommendations for you of how you can protect yourself from the coronavirus. But some things that I like to do while I've been in isolation at home is exercise. Now, I'm not talking, you know, anything too strenuous. I think it's very important just to keep yourself moving. If you keep yourself moving as I was telling you of the benefits of that warm-up, you increase blood flow, and blood flow is very important to keeping your body healthy and keeping you away from sickness or recovery, and helps with healing. Some other ideas: you can do the workout that I showed you from last week's episode. You can do the warm-up from today's episode, but you know, walking, cycling, if you can, running, those are the best ways to release those good endorphins and get your what you can out of what you would have been on the golf course, right? So movement, fresh air, and just golf therapy. The last thing I wanted to add on there before JT takes over here in a second is some things that I like to do for myself day to day to keep healthy. I take some natural supplements that include elderberry. I use essential oils to reduce inflammation in my body. You can use them in diffusers, or you can apply them topically. And I also take activated charcoal. Now, activated charcoal actually pulls all the toxins from your body, and it's natural, so none of these are harmful. So those are some of the 3 things that I use every day, including walking and working out, to keep a healthy immune system, and that's going to help protect me from the coronavirus. Okay, so now I'm going to stop my share and I'm going to hand it over to JT. JT, tell us a little bit about your background in the health industry.
Okay, well, it's a pleasure to be here with you and Perry. My background is I'm a Navy vet. I spent 33 years in the Navy, and I have a master's in public health. And in the Navy, I ran the health departments for Navy bases and ships and places like that. And then in my last 10 years, I ran field hospitals for the Marine Corps, very much like the field hospitals they're putting up all over the place right now. So I wanted to take a few minutes and talk to you about coronavirus. There's a lot of craziness going on in the world right now, and it's good to try to find 1 or 2 good sources to follow. I'm not a physician. I'm a public health kind of guy. But I use 3 sources. I only follow the Center for Disease Control website. I listen to the president's briefings, and I listen to Dr. Fauci and Dr. Brex. They're both excellent. And then here in South Carolina, I listen to Governor McMaster's his presentations once or twice a day. And he has a Dr. Bell, who runs the health department here. And those 3 are my sources. All the other stuff just adds too much confusion and too much fear, and that's not good for you. I'll have all that kind of stuff running around in your head. So I guess the basic question is, should you be playing golf in this time? And the answer to that is, ask yourself a few of these questions. Are you at high risk? If you had cancer or an immune suppressed disease, then you probably should not. It's too high of a risk. If you're over 65, we're already in that high risk category. If you've had a previous pneumonia, it makes your lungs set up for the worst part of coronavirus. Smokers are at high risk. And if you've had something like COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, those are all really bad risk factors, and you really shouldn't be out there mixing with other people. So you have to answer those questions yourself. But we're all veterans, and we're all risk takers. We've been risk takers all our life. You have to ask yourself, do I feel lucky? Is this risk worth it? So golf for me is very therapeutic. I love getting out with my friends and spending the day in the sun and playing golf. And to me, that's mental health and physical health. But there is always a risk to this. And what makes coronavirus so bad is that it is extremely contagious. Now, we've all had the flu, basic influenza. And this year, I think the numbers are, let me look to make sure I get this right. We've had 19 million cases of influenza in the United States this year, 19 million. And we've had 180,000 people hospitalized from influenza and 10,000 deaths. So now just yesterday, or was it today, we passed 5,000 deaths from coronavirus in just a month. So while influenza is bad, coronavirus is much worse. It's much more contagious. And if you have the risk factors, it can be fatal. It can go from a simple cough, dry cough, to a pneumonia, to intubated to help you breathe, to death in 1 to 3 days. So that's really kind of scary. So you have to ask yourself, is the risk worth the gain? So a lot of courses that are open, I'm sure Perry's guys are doing this, if you're still open, Perry, they're washing down the carts, they're washing the steering wheels and things like that. But how do you keep yourself safe? Well, I carry a hand sanitizer, a little alcohol stuff on my belt, and I wash my hands 10 times a day or more, just with the alcohol. And then avoid things like if you're going to grab the doorknob as you're going into a facility, as soon as you touch that, you've contaminated yourself. So you're going to need your alcohol wipe right after that. Going up and down stairs using a handrail, that's where everybody's touching. So you want to avoid things like handrails and doorknobs wherever you can. And then keeping social distances. Simple things like staying 6 feet apart reduces your risk of contracting it from someone. So you say, well, I know my partners, and none of them are sick. So you get the symptoms about 3 days after you become infectious. So I could be perfectly healthy and not be a problem, play 18 holes of golf, and then 2 days later I become sick. But I have already exposed you. You've already been exposed to my shedding of this virus, and now you're going to get it because it's very contagious. So should you wear a mask? And there's a lot of pros and cons for wearing a mask. We actually train physicians and nurses how to properly wear a mask. And if you're going to wear a mask, it's important to wear it properly. Now, the reasons for you as a golfer to wear a mask is it really prevents you from touching your face. And the way we catch this virus is not just that it's blown in the air, where that is one way, but we catch it because we get it onto our hands. Then we touch our eyes, we touch our nose, we eat or smoke a cigarette, and you put it to your mouth. And that just sucks right into your lungs and your oral airways, and you get the virus. So a mask, while it won't prevent the saliva, that's not its main reason for getting it. It's to keep you from touching your face. So it's up to you if you wear the mask. I think it's only a day or two before the president says something like, we recommend that if you're going outside, wear a mask. It doesn't have to be the N95. I've got one right here. I wear these when I work here in my shop just to keep dust out of me, because N95, it's easy to mold to your face and fit really well. But the surgical mask or just a bandana works. I mean, a large handkerchief tied around to keep reminding yourself not to touch your face is the best public health plan you can get to keep from touching your face. So those are the best ways to decrease your risk of exposure and contaminating yourself. But whether you want to continue to play golf or not, that's up to you. It's a risk, and you have to think, do I want to take that risk? That's it. Back to you, Daisy or Perry.
That's great information, Jayte. Thank you so much for sharing all of that knowledge there. And if you guys have any questions for us, any sort of specific things that you're worried about, feel free to shoot us a message. Our email, we actually just set up a new email for PGA Hope, which is PGA Hope Charleston SC@gmail.com. So if you guys have any questions about the corona or any of Jayte's, my advice or Perry's advice, please feel free to shoot us an email. But Perry, thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us. And Jayte, thank you as well.